Charles, how long had I been warning you? Do not play their game. Do not bring these two traitors back into the fold, because it's only going to get out. And sure enough, just days after those initial peace talks, which I don't think should be taking place anyway.
And Harry did call him to wish him not just happy 75th birthday, but also his children did a little video singing happy birthday to the grandpa they've barely even seen. And within hours of that happening, that was leaked by the Sussex side of things to, favourite media.
If you thought Prince Harry had finally learned to zip his lips after years of messy disasters, oh sweetie, think again. Just when everyone inside the palace finally felt like they could breathe without bracing for another headline storm, Harry went and cracked open the vault of royal secrets. And trust me, the palace is not just annoyed, they are furious. So here's the scene. On September 10th, Harry sat down with his father, King Charles, for their first face-to-face in 19 months. 19 months. It was at Clarence House in London over a private tea. The mood was supposed to be delicate, cautious, even hopeful. But little did anyone know, Harry had his ears wide open and his memory sharper than ever, because as soon as he flew back to California, he allegedly spilled every last detail to his inner circle. We're talking exact quotes, emotional confessions, and yes, even Charles's most private worries about his health and the monarchy's future. Can you picture the teacups shaking in the palace kitchens as courtiers realized the floodgates had been opened?
In person for the first time in 19 months on September 10th, visiting the monarch at his Clarence House home in London for a private tea. Sky News reports that Harry acknowledged the milestone when
Harry didn't just share a light anecdote. He allegedly turned a sacred moment into gossip material, whispered straight into the ears of his California confidants, who then, surprise, surprise, let it slide into the press. Within days, glossy magazines and U.S. commentators were mysteriously well-informed about things that were supposed to remain locked behind palace doors. And the palace? Oh, they knew instantly. This wasn't some random leaker lurking in the background. This had Harry's fingerprints smeared all over it.
In the UK are definitely slumped under their desks, drinking bottles of wine as we speak, because of obviously he's blown it all up again. But yes, I mean, Us Weekly, that's a second article that they've done already since he's come back. And I just can't understand Harry's logic.
Here's the real kicker. Charles only agreed to that private meeting on one strict condition: absolute discretion. He was nervous, hesitant even. Remember, this is the same son who blasted Camilla on national television, accused the monarchy of racism, and cashed in on every family squabble through a memoir and a Netflix deal. The king knew the risk, but he wanted to give Harry one final chance. Just father and son, no aides, no cameras, no distractions. But what did Harry do? He snapped that olive branch like a twig, tossed it on a fire, and warmed his victim complex with the flames.
With King Charles for the first time in 19 months. Referencing his dad, Harry told reporters, quote, "He's great, thank you." He did not come face-to-face with William, but one new report suggests Harry could return next year with kids Archie.
Suddenly, tabloids were buzzing about Charles's health, his worries over the monarchy's stability, and even, oh yes, the king's private comments about William and Kate. That right there was the ultimate betrayal. The monarchy doesn't just survive on duty and appearances, it survives on one fragile but vital principle: trust. And when Harry shattered that, he wasn't just being careless. He was committing royal treason in all but name.
Up with Meghan, ran away to America, 5 years ago now. He has spectacularly lost his popularity. He seems to be obsessed with getting it back. Do you think that's all personal, or do you think that he believes, or maybe Harry and Meghan believe, that if Harry can get back his popularity in Britain, then it will rub off on Meghan, and Meghan will become more popular than she is?
Inside the palace, private conversations are guarded tighter than crown jewels. Even harmless chats are treated like state secrets. Why? Because one tiny leak can blow up into a worldwide scandal in minutes. And when Charles's thoughts became tabloid clickbait, palace aides didn't see it as an accident. They saw it as betrayal. One insider put it bluntly: if he can't be trusted behind closed doors, then he has no business asking to be let in. And honestly, they're right.
Royal family, and his father treats him like he's out of the royal family.
Yes, the royal experts are saying he's going to be very deeply offended by King Charles's
Think about the chaos that followed. Whispers that Charles was preparing William for the throne sooner than expected hit the press. Panic rippled across the Commonwealth. Stock markets twitched. Buckingham Palace had to scramble out official statements reassuring the world that the king wasn't stepping down, wasn't frail, and certainly wasn't abandoning his duties, all because Harry couldn't resist spilling. And the damage didn't stop there. Reports claim Harry also told friends that Charles expressed guilt over Meghan's treatment, saying he regretted not defending her sooner. True or not, the narrative that Charles was secretly siding with Meghan humiliated William and Kate. Suddenly, it looked like the king was undermining his own heir and future queen. That's not just messy family drama, that's palace politics set on fire. The timing? Absolutely disastrous. Charles juggling treatment, William bracing for more responsibilities, Kate still absent and the workload piling on. And in the middle of all this, Harry running his mouth like he's auditioning for a gossip podcast. Remember, he'd promised the family he would stop after Spare and the Netflix circus. He swore up and down he'd keep future interactions private. But here we are again, proving that old habits die harder than royal marriages. Now palace aides are pushing for the nuclear option. Not just less contact, not just icy silence, but a complete cutoff. Total radio silence. No meetings, no calls, no father-son heart-to-hearts. Harry would be reduced to cold ceremonial distance, a son in name only. One source summed it up viciously. You can't rebuild trust with someone who keeps selling it off like a souvenir. And honestly, can you blame them? Because let's be real. If Harry keeps this up, no one in the royal family will even dare breathe near him again. Not a whisper, not a sigh, not even a sideways glance. And that, in Windsor world, is the equivalent of exile. Inside Buckingham Palace, the mood has shifted from cautious reconciliation to full-blown damage control. And here's the brutal truth. Harry is no longer seen as careless. He's being labeled a threat. That's the word insiders are using. Threat. Because every meeting, every conversation, every sigh from Charles or William is now potential raw material for the Sussex brand machine. So what's the plan? According to whispers from Clarence House, they're drafting measures to completely lock Harry out of the royal information loop. No more updates on Charles's health, no more heads up about royal schedules, and absolutely no one-on-one chats under any circumstances. The gates are slamming shut. Here's where things turn icy. Courtiers are reportedly planning to freeze Harry out of royal gatherings entirely. Not just strategy meetings, everything. State banquets, trooping the color balcony moments, even private family birthdays at Balmoral. Imagine the humiliation. For a man who built his entire brand on the claim that he's still royal, being cut off from those events is a death blow. No glossy photos, no PR lifelines, nothing to sell to Netflix or Oprah, just silence. And make no mistake, silence is the monarchy's deadliest weapon. Because here's the rule in Windsor world. Loyalty buys you silence. Betrayal buys you exile. For centuries, that's how they've survived wars, divorces, and scandals. They closed ranks. They protected their own. And Harry, he stomped on that rule in designer boots. So now the palace is doing what it does best, erasing him quietly. No tantrums, no messy public fights, just gates closing, curtains drawn, and Harry fading into irrelevance. And the saddest part, he still doesn't see it coming. From his Montecito bubble, surrounded by yes men and Hollywood producers, Harry thinks he's playing some grand PR chess game, leaking a little here, stirring headlines there, guilt-tripping the palace into another talk. But Buckingham Palace, they're not playing anymore. To them, Harry isn't a son, he's a liability. And liabilities don't get a seat at the table. Meanwhile, inside palace walls, it's war room mode. Senior aides are reportedly gathering in emergency strategy sessions. Curtains drawn, phones confiscated, whispered discussions about how to contain the threat. Think less stiff upper lip, more Game of Thrones council. Because make no mistake, this isn't a family spat anymore. It's a constitutional crisis in the making. And here's the kicker. For all of Harry's talk about honesty and speaking his truth, the reality is brutal. If he loses access to private royal conversations, he loses the very currency that keeps him relevant. No inside scoop, no royal mystique, no Sussex brand. Without the palace, Harry becomes just another celebrity in California. And in that world, attention fades fast. But in the palace, they've already started tightening the screws. Behind the scenes, there's talk of a formal downgrade, a new internal protocol to classify Harry as a non-trusted royal. That means no sensitive briefings, no advance notice of events, no inclusion in succession discussions. He'd be treated as nothing more than an outsider who just happens to share a last name with the family. For Harry, that's not just exile, that's erasure. And yet, the story doesn't stop there. Because when the palace decides to strike back, they don't just cut you off, they rebrand without you. Because here's the genius and the cruelty of the monarchy's playbook. They don't rage, they don't yell, they erase you silently. Already subtle signs of a royal rebrand are slipping into the picture. Invitations to state occasions quietly go out without Harry's name. Programs for official events, his coat of arms vanishes. Family portraits that once showed the Fab Four are being replaced with a new royal image. Charles, Camilla, William, Kate, and their children. The core five. The message? This is the monarchy now. Stable, united, and without Harry. And the PR machine? Oh, it's working overtime. Carefully planted stories praising William's charity work. Sweet features on Kate stepping back into public duties with elegance. Poised photos of Charles soldiering on with duty despite his health. It's all calculated to shine a light on those who remain and cast Harry into shadow. One insider described it as the full Sussex shutdown. And make no mistake, it's happening in slow motion. First, the quiet freezing out of information, then the erasure from appearances, and finally, the whisper campaigns about titles. Yes, titles. Insiders claim Charles has quietly authorized a review of Harry's official status. Not a brutal public decapitation, that would look messy, but a steady erosion. First, no HRH in references, then a review of privileges tied to his dukedom. And if the nuclear option comes, a formal policy that non-working royals cannot hold hereditary styles. That would strip Harry and Meghan neatly out of the royal registry altogether. Imagine the humiliation. A boy born a prince, erased from the core family registry, downgraded to little more than a historical footnote. That's the Windsor way. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet deletion. Meanwhile, the public, they're eating it up like it's a new season of The Crown. Social media is ablaze with memes, Harry as the royal snitch, cartoon crowns slipping off his head, hashtags dubbing him the runaway liability. And the cruel irony? Even in America, once his stronghold sympathy is drying up, fans are asking why he's still obsessed with a family he supposedly left behind. And here's the twist of the knife. Hollywood itself is starting to back away. The same industry that once rolled out red carpets for the Sussexes is now turning cold. Party invites aren't arriving, calls aren't being returned. People are smiling politely, but behind the scenes, they're cutting ties. No one wants to be dragged into palace drama that doesn't benefit them. And in Los Angeles, relevance is everything. For Harry, this is the nightmare he never saw coming. He thought spilling secrets would make him powerful, but instead, he's made himself toxic. He thought his truth would force change, but instead, it's forcing him out. Because here's the brutal rule: the monarchy survives on mystique. The public doesn't want to know what's behind the curtain, they want to believe in the fairy tale. And Harry shattered that illusion. Charles reportedly said as much in a rare moment of despair. Harry had taken a hammer to the one thing that kept the family standing: silence. And now silence is exactly what they'll use to bury him. No rebuttals, no statements, no dramatic confrontations. Just the quiet freeze-out. The same tactic they used with Andrew, with Diana at her most rebellious, even with Wallis Simpson. They let the noise burn itself out, while they emerge calm and untouchable. And Harry? He'll be left shouting into the void, desperate for relevance, while the world moves on. Picture it. Charles stoic and dignified, William poised and focused, Kate glowing as the future queen. The monarchy, gleaming, steady, unshaken. And Harry, not even mentioned, erased, not with fury, but with silence. Because for someone who's built his whole post-royal life around demanding attention, the one thing worse than bad press is no press at all. And that's exactly where Harry is headed. The monarchy has survived abdications, divorces, and scandals, but this may be the final cold lesson of Harry's saga. Betrayal doesn't just burn bridges, it erases you from history. And by the time he realizes, it'll already be too late.